I think they still do a Twitter happy hour. So if you mention that you have a Twitter account there on Wednesdays, they will go up there and give you they had a special exactly just for people who had the Twitter accounts. Those are different ways that you can, that you can engage. Or if you have a blog, this company called Moonfruit, they were actually giving away Apple iBook a day, and they will put that through their Twitter and put it through their blog. And if you spread the word out, you'll be entered in for that competition.
You won a DVD off Twitter.
Yeah, recently I won a DVD off of Twitter, and it was pretty cool. It was a movie called Flow. It was talking about like water in the reservoir and things like that.
It was a documentary.
Yeah, it was a documentary. Actually, I saw it on PBS. I saw it was on PBS. They were like mentioned on PBS one time. So it's a really good documentary, and all I did was I was sitting there and saw something and I said, I might as well just type my name on here real quick. 5 minutes later, I checked again, and I won something for doing the bare minimum. And it was, now I go up there and I look at their blog on a regular basis just because I'm like, that's cool.
And now they got your database information. They're going to send you stuff.
Right. And
because the game hasn't changed.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can use it to help promote your business. And the most important thing, too, is that once you do that, you're interacting with people. They know who you are. They form a common bond. It's like we said, if you buy a pair of shoes, and you realize these are some very comfortable shoes, most likely you're going to go buy that same pair of shoes on there. You're going to look at reviews for that. Everybody searches for their interests. And once you get them in there, you're getting instant word of mouth times 10. Because while I can tell you one thing, and if you told every single person that you know one thing, it'll take you a long time. If you put it on the internet, it's almost instantaneous. Yes?
Right now, on our Twitter page, we have a special for Twitter followers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But my question is this. Do I then have to keep posting that update so that the person that has 25 Twitters, and I haven't had time to keep writing that in, and then, you know how like when you go up on the page, it'll say like 25 of your followers what they're doing. Does my update get lost if I'm not continually punching $5 off for our Twitter people? Come on in, free flowers for you.
It's always a river of information. It's always going to go in one direction.
It depends too, maybe what they're using to receive their tweets. At work, I use TweetDeck. I don't know if any of you use that or are familiar with that. So I keep it open constantly. So I always get a message in the corner that tells me as each message comes in. So it hardly, for me, things don't ever get lost because I get to see each message as it comes in every 2 minutes or so.
And you're going to get to that point where you're going to have enough followers where you're just not going to be able to read everyone.
Yeah. And there's certain other techniques that you use. What we'll do is like during the break, maybe we can break down certain of your questions so we can keep the program moving. But one way that you can also do is you can say, please retweet, which will make other people to get in that contest. They will go ahead and do some of the work for you. Because using the RT tag on there, people will go ahead and reference what you're putting on there, and they'll say, oh, that's, if I want to get in this contest, you can say, please retweet, and they'll continually blast that message for you. So you're asking them to do some work for you.
Well, another thing is, it's not, we shouldn't be putting it in our, I want to say status, but I know that's Facebook, but in the line there, and also direct messaging all of our is that open
now,
everybody?
some people do have like a certain etiquette of it. They don't. Most people don't like direct. People don't like the direct messaging.
That's probably good because people like me would probably just go, oh, unfollow. I'm sorry.
Well, they feel that, hey, this is social media. We don't want something pre-programmed.
Right. You don't want like advertising coming into all your direct messages.
Right.
And the more you engage, the less you broadcast, the better off you're going to be. If you get to a point like, oh, that means I got to go log in.
Sorry.
Well, that's all right. Since we kind of, we'll ask a couple more, answer a couple more questions. Wow. Does anybody else have any questions? Yes?
If you have multiple social media accounts, is it helpful or critical to stay consistent with your name? For instance, my website is mybulkmail.com, but when I opened up the Twitter account, I put it in as bulk mail for you. Would it have been better to stay consistent because they'll get more familiar with it, or does it not really matter?
We can give you a guess, but we can't give you a specific answer. The guess is if you want to keep the branding consistent, especially if you're trying to, build your brand, then maybe staying with Flanagan's bulk mail might have been right. But in the same breath, I can't directly say that because it's one of those things where, and everything we tell you and everything we go over, and if we never get past the question part, I'm perfectly happy with that. is that you're going to want to test. You're going to want to know what's out there. If you want to make a second account and try with Flanagan's bulk mail, there's no law against that. You know, see where you get more, you know, and if you run two, you run two. You just see where, you know, what kind of reaction you get.
The reason I stayed away from Flanagan's bulk mail is because nobody spells Flanagan correctly, so they wouldn't. Yeah.
Flanny's bulk mail then. I wouldn't get that right. But it's also a possibility to set it up where, like, even if you could go after the misspellings, like a guy named Steve Dalton, I think he runs Greenpoint Development. He actually has Dalton briefs and Dalton's briefs. So if, like, people like me who always forget to put the extra S in for Dalton's, goes to the wrong one, he actually has it set where it's like, you actually meant to go here. So you can actually try to get those misspellings in and just pick one. And so people, when they go to it, go, oh, I should probably go to this one. So there's guidelines, but there's no rules, you know. And at the end, you just have to keep playing with it to see what works for you. And you should never want to be just content with what you have going on.
And don't worry, it's easy to change your Twitter name if you want to, and it won't delete any account. So.
Oh, it doesn't.
So like I said, that would be another thing during the break that we can probably show you real quick. It only takes a quick moment. I can show you an example on either my account or someone else's account. So.
Okay.
We'll go.
We're talking about some popular social media platforms. Everyone in here is probably familiar with what a blog is, right? I mean, how many of you actually have a blog?
Ooh,
Oh, fewer than I thought.
How many were you just sleeping when we asked the question?
Well, if you don't know, a blog is a website that's maintained usually by an individual, or there are group blogs. You can have a company blog maintained by a few people, or you can have a blog where people contribute information. You know, it's a place to share commentary, what's going on in your business, places to build a brand, provide customer service, also to share movies or images, just other kinds of things that show maybe an inside look of what's going on in your company, or you can just use it strictly for information. I guess it just depends up to you what you feel that you should use your blog for. Facebook, people in here probably all know what Facebook is. I just personally recently discovered that you can use Facebook for business. I've always just used it for personal stuff, but you can use it to serve ads to targeted demographics, I believe. Is that correct, Nate?
Sorry?
You can serve ads in Facebook to targeted demographics.
If I remember, you can actually do
Because,
it down to, like,
you know, you put
the products you want.
Yeah,
to.
you put in your Facebook profile, usually how old you are, if you're a male or female, your interests, things like that. So that's another avenue that
different social networks if you go to
businesses can
universities and things of that sort.
Mm-hmm. Twitter, I love Twitter. And it seems that a lot of people in here are familiar with Twitter and are actually using Twitter. It's a microblogging tool. I like it because you can put some thought into your post, but it doesn't take you all day to do it. I mean, I can even do it at work in between when I'm working on projects.
No, you're being productive.
I am being productive. I look at other people that I follow to get tips to help me build websites better, new CSS tricks, new things to do in Photoshop. It's a great tool. And you can do it anywhere. It's mobile. You can do it from your fancy iPhone, or you can do it from your cheap phone like I got.
And you can choose who you're following, and you can actually, technically, unfollow things. You will have that control still, even though, it's out there on the internet. You still have some semblance of control. You can follow people in your, like interests, maybe follow tips, ask for tips. I use it as a resource primarily, even though I use it for the social functions also. But if I have a problem, say who knows how to, put a CSS gallery, or who has any information of the best place, so there's so many different ways that you can go ahead and use these things to get more information and help you be better. As a designer, I know what I'm using things for may be different than everyone else, but at the same time, it still has the same, basic function is to grow, is to get more information, and you gain that loyalty. I use Designer Depot. I go ahead and realize, hey, when I'm designing, I get stuck and say, oh, here's a great tip, or here's another website that someone else did.
It's blogging in bite-sized chunks, and a lot of people don't like to read big, lengthy paragraphs. I mean, you as a copywriter, you probably know that it's best to have short paragraphs, bulleted lists, things. The people are more apt to read that, especially on the internet. When people read things on a screen, they don't like seeing big blocks of text. So Twitter is a great way to get your message across in 140 characters or less. LinkedIn, are a lot of you using LinkedIn? I just recently found about LinkedIn in the past year. I didn't even know it existed until I became a professional graphic designer. It's a great way to, it's strictly a business social media